Olá, seja bem-vindo ao Conexão UFC. Eu sou Evelyn Rodrigues e hoje o programa está muito especial. Olha só. O americano Austin Vanderford revela como uma parceria especial o ajudou na jornada até o UFC. O peso-mosca Brandon Royval relembra sua primeira luta no octógono mais famoso do mundo. O gangster galês Oban Elliott fala sobre o amor pela competição. E o australiano Jake Matthews revela o que motiva o seu foco de lutador. O peso meio médio Austin Vanderford começou sua jornada nas artes marciais aos 6 anos de idade. Ele fazia aulas de wrestling no Alasca enquanto sonhava em um dia competir no UFC. Ao longo do caminho, Austin encontrou mais do que apenas sucesso no octógono. Descobriu uma paixão pelos esportes de combate que ele passou a dividir com a veterana do UFC, Paige VanZant. E ele relembra agora toda a trajetória nessa edição de Indestrutível.
Vanderford was an All-American and national champion at Southern Oregon, and that was his path to mixed martial arts.
This sport is filled with so many ups and downs. I knew if I just stayed the course that eventually I'd get to the UFC.
Fight fans know him well, though. Of course, married to UFC veteran and combat sports superstar Paige VanZant.
It is really important to have a strong team and people who love you through the highs and lows of fighting.
Having a good team around me and my wife, Paige, it makes it so much easier.
Together, we're taking on every opportunity that is in front of us.
I started wrestling at the age of 6. I still remember to this day my dad asking me like, hey, do you want to get into wrestling? The first thing I asked him was, well, can you punch and kick? I went on, wrestled, won a couple of state championships in Alaska in high school. I took a late opportunity to go wrestle in college and eventually won a national title.
I go back and keep training and hopefully get into some MMA.
My first amateur fight was an Indian casino in Oregon, and I ended up finishing him in like a minute. And that kind of propelled me on. At that point, it was just maybe fight one weekend and fight 2 weekends after. I really wanted to fast track and get going.
To get in the hotel or like to get up the elevator.
Paige and I met in 2017 at Gracie Baja in Portland, Oregon. We were training there and she kind of had an eye for me, and of course I had an eye for her. It's so cliche, but it was love at first sight. She was already a star in the UFC and in the women's division.
Oh my! She rocked her!
It was surreal seeing her on TV, and I'm just coming from this small little village in Alaska, never really experienced much stuff like this. My mom was a big fan of her, and she would call me like, Austin, I think you're training at the same gym as Paige VanZant. I'm like, yeah. Then the next day I'd call my mom like, yeah, Mom, remember, Paige, I'm actually going to take her on a date tomorrow. And none of my family could believe it. It was kind of unbelievable. As soon as we started dating, she had a fight maybe a few months after, and I immediately was in her corner.
12-gauge Paige VanZant, the former strawweight, who has not fought since December of 2016. And at 125 pounds, she says she feels as athletic and as capable as ever.
He's been in my corner since I met him. I couldn't imagine fighting without him there.
Being married to someone who is also in a combat sport, we both understand what each other's going through.
We have such a unique dynamic. Just to be able to share our love and support for each other, how we're able to balance a really healthy relationship on top of being professional athletes.
I knew eventually I'd get there, and I could just see all the opportunities she was getting and everything that came with being under the UFC umbrella. And it was something that I wanted. In 2018, I got the opportunity to fight for Dana White's Contender Series.
We were really excited for him to get the opportunity. I knew how talented he was, I knew how much skill he had, and I really thought that was his moment.
I had no doubt in my mind I was gonna go out there and earn a contract. I actually got dropped in the first round. kind of those moments where you really look into your heart and your soul and decide, like, man, do I want to do this or what?
Stick right, a big left from Vanderford. And that was his turn.
Instinct took over, and I continued to fight, and I eventually went on and finished the guy in the second round.
Austin Vanderford takes a shot, dishes one out.
After I got the finish, I was like, man, it's over. I'm in the UFC now. And when it came time to read the contracts off, I didn't get called. I actually am thankful for that because I got to really face some adversity and come to some crossroads where it's like, man, do I want to keep doing this? Am I built for this? And it made me really look down into my soul and decide, like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Fast forward, and that same year, Paige and I got married. I took a fight a week after our wedding, and I went out and knocked the guy out in the first round. But I still never really lost track. My goal was always to be in the UFC. I made little pit stops along the way. My UFC debut came about on really short notice. I was just excited. I was ready. I felt like all my dreams had came true. Warming up in the back and seeing her is something that is really important for me.
I feel like my experience in the UFC gained some insight for him. When he made the walk for his UFC debut, it didn't feel unfamiliar.
Standing under the lights in the tunnel right before you make the walk, it's so much different than anything I ever experienced. Everyone's there to watch this show. It's an empowering feeling.
Big life moment for Austin Vanderford as he makes his first walk to the UFC. Fight fans know him well, though. Of course, married to UFC veteran and combat sports superstar Paige VanZant.
It was just excitement to be under the lights and hear my name called. It was exactly what I had envisioned and dreamt of.
Austin's best skill set, shall we say, is the wrestling. That's what he's known for. That's what brought him here in the first place. There's the first takedown. He's gonna try to get up, be ready for it.
The first round started and it went exactly how I envisioned it going.
Suffocating on the ground, and now he swings into a great position. Oh, he readjusts, and now he's close to the finish.
30 seconds!
I almost got a finish in the first round. And I felt like if I had 10 more seconds, I was there. So then we went into the second round. And kind of the same exact thing, got a takedown and got him in a position where he wasn't going to get out of it. And I just started landing strikes.
That'll do it! Welcome to the UFC, Austin Vanderford. What a journey it's been, and what a show he puts on in Seattle.
What's really special about our lives is we truly understand what each other's going through. He understands every single piece of that and is able to just guide me through a lot of my life. What do you get more nervous for, this or fighting?
Fighting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this.
You don't get nervous?
The first couple I did.
Yeah.
But it was more so like seeing how you would react taking a slap, and now
Yeah.
I just have so much confidence. Like, you just have a brick chin, so.
Yeah.
I think there's a really good chance that she goes to sleep.
I have definitely adapted to the opportunities that have come my way. I really like to take things on that excite me and get me excited for the next step. Power Slap's my next venture.
Watching Paige go from being in the UFC to bare knuckle boxing, pro wrestling, now to doing Power Slap, she had another opportunity to make a big name for herself, and so she went on and did that.
A familiar face, 12-gauge Paige VanZant, just 30 years old. Had a good career in the UFC, went on Dancing with the Stars, finished second. Her husband, Austin Vanderford, recently won in his UFC debut, and she is now 2 matches into her Power Slap career.
She loves to perform. She loves being under the lights, and I feel like she really gets to showcase her personality in Power Slap.
In the past, in her MMA career, she broke her arm several times. She didn't want to slap with the right hand because it might re-break. This time she's like, hold on, I'm right hand dominant. I'm way stronger with my right hand. Why wouldn't I throw my slap with my right? That's what we're gonna see tonight.
12-gauge Paige VanZant.
I love seeing her smile and the feeling of victory.
Animal. Let's go again. Oh, you beast. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Come on.
Our story is a crazy, dedicated, kick-ass love story.
We're really there to anchor each other down and help each other emotionally.
I am so proud of my husband. I know he's meant for really big, incredible things. At the end of the day, we have each other, and it's the biggest accomplishment I've ever had.
Primeiro colocado no ranking peso mosca, o americano Brandon Royval se consolidou entre os melhores da divisão com performances marcantes dentro do octógono. Conhecido por seu ritmo insano e estilo imprevisível, ele sabe equilibrar momentos de caos e muita habilidade durante a luta, e isso em uma das divisões mais disputadas do Ultimate. Os resultados não deixam dúvida. Brandon Royval merece estar no topo. E ele relembra agora um dos momentos mais importantes da carreira nesta edição de Minha Estreia.
This is a good kid, Brandon Royval. He's very crafty. He is not afraid of anything. You know it's going to be all action.
When I started the sport, I just wanted to whoop up on my brother with some better technique. I didn't really envision even having an MMA fight until I got signed up for one. I just remember thinking, I don't ever want to give this up.
Specialties here. Can he find a finish in the first round?
This fight is over. Brandon Royval.
I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to try to get to the UFC.
What a submission win for Royval.
Going into the UFC, I just won the LFA title.
LFA fly, weight strap. Royval comes out firing. Oh, Williams got his leg.
Those long legs of Royval. He got it.
He got it. Over and out. By tap out due to armbar and new LFA flyweight world champion, Brandon Royval.
I was so locked in after I won the LFA belt, and I was so sure that I could have been a call up to the UFC. So I never let myself get out of shape, so I knew I could make it on a short notice. My manager FaceTimed me, and when you get a FaceTime, it's usually a good call. I immediately opened it. He was smiling, I was smiling. I was like, who is it? And he goes, Tim Elliott. And he's like, when is it? And he was like, next week. And I was like, perfect, I'll be ready.
Live inside the UFC Apex, it's UFC Fight Night. Good evening, fight fans. Happy to be with you, Octagon side.
I had a week to prepare. The game plan was just to go out there and give him hell the whole entire fight.
UFC matchmakers have had their eye on this kid, and he gets the Octagon stage here tonight.
I remember walking out there and I was like, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna try and to win this fight with everything I have, but I thought so highly of Tim Elliott.
He understands that he's the veteran and he's the guy that's supposed to win this fight.
Just super awkward style. He's gonna push a pace, he's gonna bring it, and if we're just being 100% honest, I felt like that was my fight to lose, but it was my end to the UFC. He was like dancing across the ring. He looked so comfortable. And I remember I was standing on the side where Dana White was, and I just did not want to look at it. I just was trying to stay locked in, but I just remember he looked so comfortable, and I just did not feel that at all.
First of 3 possible rounds at 125 pounds. No glove touch.
The first round, I feel like I had good moments.
Oh, what a shot!
But I feel like I was getting dominated.
Tim's doing a good job of just manipulating the body leverage of Royval.
But in the middle of the first round, I could hear him breathing, and I'm like, he is wasting way too much energy, and he has way too high of an output.
Tim is looking really tired here, though. Very labored in his movement.
I remember I went for the armbar, and I'm like, oh, he had zero defense for that. I feel like if I would have had another 10 seconds, that fight would have been over.
Short time here for Royval, who ends in a dominant position. Second round coming up.
I knew after that first round that the fight was gonna get significantly easier. That was one of the few moments in my career where I've walked back in the corner and I knew I was gonna win that fight. That first round was a high pace, but I knew he wouldn't be able to have much after that.
Fight's on.
Yeah, the second round, it came out him pushing the pace pretty heavily too.
Tim Elliott's pace is fast, man.
Non-stop, in your face.
He jumped a guillotine.
He gets on top, but he's got to watch his neck.
But he went for it in a position that I knew I could hold on to and mount him. And I could hear my corner, they're like, fight the hands, fight the hands. No, like I have him in such a good position. They couldn't see where his feet were at. I knew the moment that he was giving up on the choke, which he wasn't going to be able to get it, that I was going to end up in a mounted position. And the moment he let go, I stepped right in the mount. He bucked me off, and I was able to try to take his back. He rolled through, and then I went back into like a mounted type of triangle.
Arm triangle, arm triangle.
Oh, look at this, and that's deep.
Oh, there's a tap from Elliott. Welcome to the UFC, Brandon Royval.
I was happy I won the fight, but I was so mad.
What's that, man?
I was just capitalizing on mistakes he made instead of doing anything good. My coach came over, hugged me, and I smacked his hand. I gave him a hug, and I like walked to him in the head, and he's like, "What are you mad for?" And I just want to fight in the UFC. The moment I found out I got the bonus was so life-changing. I felt like I got a scholarship to be a UFC fighter. I could quit my job, I could dedicate my life to this full time, and I'm never gonna give this up. As long as I'm fighting, I'm gonna stay in the UFC, and I'm gonna make this happen.
Depois de conquistar o contrato com o UFC através do Dana White's Contender Series, o peso meio-médio Oban Elliott se tornou uma força em ascensão na categoria. E ele acredita boa parte desse sucesso ao pai, sua principal inspiração para chegar ao topo. Vamos conhecer mais sobre o gangster galês nesta edição de Foco Duplo.
Long on confidence and charisma. Enter the 26-year-old Welsh gangster Oban Elliott.
Fighting and competing gives me a purpose.
Completely well-rounded, stands out in all areas.
I don't know what else I would be doing if I wasn't fighting.
Believes in himself at a level that not many people do.
It's as important to me as my beating heart is. I started training around the age of 5. What got me into fighting was my father. He would take me to various different martial arts classes, and I've never stopped. The only plan I've had in life was to be a prize fighter. What sparked my interest to fight in the UFC was UFC Vendetta.
UFC 40, it is all about vendetta.
My father had the DVD. There was a lot of big fights on that card.
Listen to this crowd.
Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock, Chuck Liddell versus Bob Lewis and Brawl. I've been in love with it ever since then.
You can't go around calling yourself a Welsh gangster unless you're doing gangster stuff.
Never trust a gangster. Since the early 2000s, I've been trying to piece a plan together to get there myself one day.
Mark Goddard about to get this one underway here in Dublin.
I won a title eliminator fight in Dublin with Cage Warriors.
Beautiful stuff from Oban Elliott. Nice combination from Elliott there.
After that fight, I got the call up that I had an opportunity to fight on the Contender Series. That was one of the best days of my life because that was always my dream, to be in the UFC.
This young man is fighting for so much more than a UFC contract. Brings it to you no matter where the fight is, and I just cannot wait for him to potentially have a moment.
Going into my Dana White Contender Series fight, I said yes to the opportunity before I even looked into the matchup.
Brito, he's one of those guys that knows how to find his shot. He's a guy that's a sniper.
I don't think Brito was a good matchup for me. Dangerous man, 16 wins, all finishes. He had double my fights. He was a reigning world champion. But you could have threw King Kong in there, as far as I was concerned, and I was going to walk away with the contract.
Fight.
The first round, I felt his power early.
Oh, Brito throws everything with 100% power. Damage as an intention.
I was in there with a very dangerous guy in that second round. I was doing really well.
Nice double jab there by Elliott. Beautiful job.
Up until I got caught with a massive shot. Knocked the taste out of my mouth. Somehow I stayed in there.
I think Elliott's wobbled. He got cracked hard.
The room was spinning. I didn't know where my opponent even was.
Elliott showing a lot of heart hanging in here.
I just held on, tried rolling with the punches, tried getting my feet back underneath me.
Brito just throws hard, man.
I was slowly starting to recover, and then I heard the referee say, "You got to fight back."
Fight back.
I caught him with a big shot myself, which kind of stopped him in his tracks. Survived the rest of the round. Going into the third, I recovered well. I was motivated and I stood up, looked at him with my arms by my side and said, I'm ready to die. I can't explain the feeling I had in that moment because I was like, mate, there was your chance to get me out of there because there's a storm coming now.
Oh, that was a nice body shot.
Elliott's recovery is crazy.
Oh, that body kick.
Oh!
What a moment. What a 15-minute movie that was.
What an incredible performance from the Welsh gangster.
Open Elliott!
This kid's all heart, he's all toughness, and he's definitely full of personality. I'm gonna give you the opportunity, kid.
That was a huge goal for me. It was a promise that I kept to my late father to become a UFC fighter. That was the mission that guided me throughout my youth.
The UFC debut has arrived for Oban Elliott.
This is his big dream, and this is his big moment.
The atmosphere was electric. The fans were very loud in there. I felt it as soon as I walked through that curtain to the octagon.
He lost his father back in 2005, and he has continued to train and fight.
I'm happy to see him here. His father would be very proud right now.
The fight with Val Woodburn, it started tremendous. I caught him with a clean head kick.
Beautiful timing on that head kick.
I was already spending the 50 grand bonus before he went down, and as I went for the kill, he caught me back.
Oh, he got caught! Val Woodburn with a flurry now.
We had a little shake-up. In the first 30 seconds of my debut, I found myself with my on the canvas. Bounced back up. Then, from there on out, I dominated the whole fight.
I love the aggression.
Controlled the distance with my boxing, my striking.
Nice jab by Elliott.
Took him down and beat him up on the floor. Textbook MMA performance. I won that fight by unanimous decision.
Open! The Welsh gangster Elliott!
With a tear in my eye, I said to Joe Rogan,
I am the man. And to be the man, you've got to beat the man.
That performance made me realize that I can do this. You've only seen a small part of what I can do. The sky is the limit.
Oh! Oban Elliott with a massive right. That'll do it. Oban Elliott continues to shine.
I see every little dream coming true that I've ever had, and the best is yet to come.
Oban Elliott!
O peso meio médio Jake Matthews é um dos lutadores mais experientes da Austrália. Desde a estreia no UFC aos 19 anos de idade, ele já tem mais de 20 lutas na organização e uma trajetória moldada por crescimento pessoal, fé e pelo desafio constante de competir no mais alto nível do esporte. Jake conta agora como mantém a motivação nesta edição de Foco de Lutador.
Nice to hear that crowd pop for the Celtic kid, Jake Matthews, representing Victoria, Australia.
I was never going to settle for mediocrity.
Oh! Jake Matthews with a huge stoppage.
When this young man is at his best, we see a very dangerous striker with a very good ground game.
And he tapped the Celtic kid. Whoa!
I was born in Melbourne. We call it the Jewel of the North. Grew up playing football. I was always athletic, always tried to get in any sport that I could. During the footy off-season, I wanted to stay fit, so I ended up at a kickboxing gym. They had jiu-jitsu, they had MMA. I was just confident just from being a young, fit, aggressive kid. And 6 months later, I had my first amateur fight. My first amateur fight, I ended up knocking him out with a head kick. Then a few months later, I turned 18 and when I made my pro debut.
Jake, the Celtic Kid, Matthews!
It was for an East Coast title against a guy who was 7-0, the scariest looking guy I've ever fought.
Nice leg kick from Fiamata.
Threw me around, double-legged me, took me down. Pretty much dominated the first round. I could sense that he was getting tired.
There we go. Oh, great reversal there.
I just kept wearing away at him and getting a win.
He is out. A TKO win there to Jake Matthews.
Beat an absolute monster, got a belt strapped around my waist. It was one of the best feelings ever. Everything that happened in that fight happened for a reason. If it didn't happen exactly that way, I might not be where I am today. That fight just solidified my career. I had my head screwed on pretty well. I was always seeking out the best training partners, the best coaches, so they always kept me with a level head. From day one, the goal was to make it to the UFC. I could just see ahead in the future and visualize the UFC about one day. During that time, it was just such a far-fetched idea that an Aussie would make it to the UFC. No one believed it, but I believed it all along. I was 19. 2 weeks before my next local fight, I got the call up for UFC Auckland.
For the first time in UFC history, the Octagon is in Auckland, New Zealand. Just 19 years old, Jake Celtic Kid Matthews. He's ready to rock.
I was very surprised at how composed I was. It was my first stadium fight, first time fighting in an octagon. My debut in Auckland was against Sean Johnson. We knew going in, he was definitely an elite boxer. We wanted to rush in with combinations, close the distance, get him against the fence.
Smothering Johnson early.
I got him down with a pretty cool takedown.
Look at that. Wow. Beautiful Sumagaeshi takedown there. More punishing ground and pound.
Flurry of ground and pound. He tried to turn up into me and I ended up locking up a triangle.
Right into a triangle, and he gets it! Jake Matthews wins his UFC debut! Jake Matthews is an absolute beast!
Got to finish on my UFC debut, which was cool.
From Australia, Jake, the Celtic Kid Matthews!
I knew I just wanted to get in and have as many fights as possible.
Oh! Superman punch. Beautiful. Rear naked choke attempt. Rogers out.
No way!
Doesn't matter where I fight, who I'm fighting.
There's the tap!
I just go in, get the job done. But getting to the UFC at 19, I've still got a lot of maturing to do physically.
Look at this guillotine, very tight.
Each fight progressively got harder and harder. To the point where my last couple of fights at lightweight were losses.
And there's the stoppage.
The last fight at lightweight, I actually had partial renal failure. Kidney started shutting down.
Andrew Holbrook!
My lungs started losing capacity. I honestly thought probably could be the end of my career. At lightweight, I was draining my body so much. I was probably fighting at 50%. I needed a change. I started implementing things in my life, just trying to be a better human being, better person. I became best friends with the Muslim guys at the gym, and there was never any talk about ideologies or religions. Opened my mind to looking into the history of Islam. And then I went on my own journey. I do believe that everyone needs to find some sort of faith. You need to believe in something bigger than yourself. I attribute that to the newfound maturity in my career. I accepted Islam 3.5 years ago. I kept this journey completely to myself. My values and my behavior and the way I grew up, and I've always had this discipline that you find in the Islamic faith. I felt that it just fit right into my lifestyle. I've really taken that lesson on board, and I just realized that the decision to go to welterweight was a good one.
Good evening, fight fans, and welcome to Australia. This is the UFC welterweight debut for Jake Matthews. Really excited to see what this young man brings in this new weight class.
The first fight back at welterweight was against Bojan Velickovic. He was probably one of the biggest welterweights I've ever fought and ever seen. It was in Sydney. I had the hometown crowd on my side. It was a very close fight.
Coming in at welterweight now, I think this is obviously the most natural weight class for him.
I just told myself, keep moving, keep pushing through the adversity. We ended up coming out on top, getting the hand raised.
Jake Matthews!
It was a massive relief to get that win. I kind of just crumble after the decision gets announced that I won the fight. All that weight on the shoulders just coming off.
Oh! Huge left by Matthews.
And I was winning fights.
Oh! Down goes Fialho! Jake Matthews with the biggest win of his career!
Everything fell into place.
And he tapped!
Having that faith.
Oh! We earned him!
And that belief that I'm on the right path.
Oh!
It gives me that extra push to push through adversity and come out on the other side with my hand raised. What I've learned in my 10 years in the UFC is that if you're after a long, prosperous career, it's going to be a roller coaster. My main goal, I've always put family and my kids at the top of the list. That should be the biggest motivation for any father. If I achieve that, then the belt should come along the way.
Is that good? Yeah?
Finding my faith raised the barrier of my threshold even higher again, and I'm starting to see the pieces of the puzzle coming together now. We've got so much more to show, and we just need to bring it out on the night.
Jake, the Celtic Kid,
Por hoje é só, mas a gente tem um encontro marcado no próximo Conexão UFC. Até lá!